The sun beat down mercilessly on the cracked asphalt of the city streets, heat rising in faint waves. Amid the hum of traffic and distant construction, a small figure appeared on the horizon. A little girl, tiny and fragile, trudging along with worn sneakers and a faded backpack slung over her shoulder. Dust clung to her hair, and her eyes were red, not just from the sun, but from exhaustion and silent tears. Inside the Hells Angels garage, the roar of motorcycles and laughter echoed against steel and brick. 70 bikers leaned against Harleys, swapping stories, polishing chrome, and teasing one another. Life was routine, loud, and unapologetically raw, until the garage door squeaked open. Hawk, wiping grease from his hands, looked up. What the hell? His eyes widened as he saw the girl standing on the threshold, shoulders slumped, but determination blazing in her gaze. She took a hesitant step forward, voice trembling yet piercingly clear. "Please. I need your help." The room fell silent. Engines idled, tools clattered to the floor unnoticed, and every leather-clad biker's attention snapped to the tiny figure. No one had expected someone so small, so unassuming, to carry such resolve. Ryder, always quick to assess, leaned forward. "Walked here?" he asked, incredulous. The girl nodded, tears spilling freely now. 3 miles. I don't have anyone else. Please. I need someone to help my brother. He's sick, and I can't take care of him alone." For a moment, the bikers exchanged glances, shock giving way to quiet understanding. This was no prank, no story. They could see the fear, the exhaustion, the courage in every trembling breath. Hawk wiped his hands and stepped closer, kneeling to meet her eyes. "Kid, you came all this way alone?" he asked softly. "Yes," she whispered. I didn't know who else to ask. I heard, you help people, even little kids." The air inside the garage thickened with emotion. 70 grown men, many who had faced bullets, harsh winters, and countless dangers, suddenly felt the weight of helplessness, empathy, and moral responsibility pressing down. A silence more powerful than any roar of engines filled the space. Hawk reached for her hand, and for the first time that day, the little girl felt a sliver of relief. "You're brave," he said. "Not because of the walk, but because you didn't give up on him. We're going to help your brother, kid. You're not alone anymore." Tears welled in the eyes of more than a few bikers. This was what loyalty and protection were meant for, not trophies, not displays of strength, but moments like this, when courage met compassion and action followed instinct. Ryder spoke, voice steady but emotional. "We need details. Where is he? What's going on?" The girl's voice trembled, but the words came, he's at home. He hasn't been eating. He's sick, and my mom, she's gone. Please. I can't do this by myself." The bikers exchanged nods. There was no hesitation. The chapter, united by loyalty, moral strength, and unwavering courage, moved as one. Protecting the vulnerable was never optional. It was a duty they embraced fully. And as the little girl stood there, exhausted, dust-covered, but full of trust, every one of the 70 bikers understood the gravity of what she had endured, and the magnitude of what they were about to do. The engine started, the echo of steel and leather reverberating like a heartbeat. Hawk helped her to the side, voice low but resolute. "Hold on tight, kid. You've already done the hardest part, asking for help. The rest, that's on us." The roar of 70 Harleys filled the air, a symphony of power and purpose as the chapter moved in unison through the city streets. Dust swirled behind them like a phantom veil, but inside each rider, focus sharpened on the little girl perched safely amidst the leather and chrome. She clung to Hawk's arm, backpack bouncing lightly against her shoulders, her small face pale from worry but alight with the faint glow of hope. As the convoy turned onto quieter streets, the city's chaotic rhythm faded, replaced by the heavy weight of anticipation. Every biker knew instinctively, today wasn't about reputation, thrills, or brotherhood for themselves. It was about courage, loyalty, and protecting the vulnerable. Each rumble of an engine was a heartbeat, a promise that no harm would reach the child or her brother. Hawk leaned down, voice soft but commanding. "Micah, We need you to tell us exactly what's going on. The more we know, the faster we can help him." Micah took a shaky breath. He hasn't eaten in days. My brother, he's so weak. I tried to take care of him, but I don't know how. Mom, she's gone, and I didn't know what to do." Ryder glanced at her, a pang of empathy cutting through his tough exterior. "You've done everything you could, kid. But now you're not alone. We've got your back." The convoy slowed as they approached a narrow street lined with dilapidated houses. The little girl pointed, trembling. It's this one. Number 12. Please, hurry." Engines softened to a low hum as the bikers approached the small, weathered house. The front door hung slightly off its hinges, paint peeling, and the yard was overgrown with weeds. It was clear this home had seen better days, and that the struggle inside had long been ignored by the world beyond. Hawk dismounted first, motioning to the others to fan out, their presence both protective and intimidating. "Stay close, kid. We're going in together." Inside, the scene was worse than anyone expected. The boy, no older than 7, lay curled on a tattered couch, cheeks pale, ribs faintly visible beneath thin clothing. Empty bowls sat on the table, remnants of meager meals from days ago. The smell of neglect and hardship clung to the air like a weight. Micah rushed to him, tears spilling freely. "Jamie! I brought help," she cried. Hawk knelt beside the boy, checking his pulse gently. "He's alive. That's good. Now we make sure he stays that way." Ryder scanned the surroundings, eyes sharp. "We need food, water, and medical attention. Fast." The bikers acted with practiced precision. Some ran to nearby shops for supplies, others arranged temporary care, and a few stayed inside, reassuring the children. Every movement was deliberate, every glance a silent promise. No harm would come to them on their watch. Micah hugged her brother, her small body shaking. I didn't know what to do. I walked for miles, but now you're here." Hawk's voice was calm, almost fatherly. "You did everything right. Courage isn't just action, it's knowing when to ask for help. You just taught 70 grown men a lesson in bravery today." Ryder smiled, shaking his head slightly, fighting emotion. "Some of us have seen a lot in our lives. War, pain, loss. But seeing you fight for him, it hits harder than anything else." The chapter worked seamlessly, providing immediate care, wrapping blankets around the boy, offering food, and ensuring he was hydrated. The little girl's eyes glimmered with relief as she watched, the weight she had carried alone for miles beginning to lift. Outside, the sun dipped lower, casting long shadows that mingled with the golden light of redemption and compassion. The bikers had arrived to protect, to heal, and to teach a lesson far larger than the city itself. Courage, loyalty, and moral strength aren't defined by size or age, they're defined by action. Micah whispered to Hawk, exhausted but grateful. I didn't think anyone would come." Hawk smiled, voice steady. "We always do, kid. Courage calls, and those who understand it answer. Today, you called, and we answered." The little girl finally allowed herself a small smile, realizing she had sparked something bigger than herself. 70 hardened bikers moved to protect what was innocent, what was vulnerable, and what deserved care. The city might never know what had happened today, but inside that small, neglected home, hope had returned. The house, once silent and heavy with despair, now echoed with the soft murmur of care. Blankets rustled as Hawk and a few bikers tended to the boy, Jamie, while Ryder set up makeshift meals on the worn kitchen table. Micah perched nearby, watching every movement, absorbing the lessons of loyalty, courage, and protection in every action. Hawk crouched beside her, voice low but firm. "Micah, you've carried a lot alone. You walked miles, faced fear, and never gave up. That's bravery, but it's okay to let others carry some weight too." The little girl swallowed, eyes glistening. I didn't know anyone would listen. I thought I had to do it all by myself." Ryder shook his head slowly. "No one should have to do it alone. That's why people like us exist. We protect, we guide, and we stand when it matters most. You already showed courage. Now let us show loyalty. Micah's small hands trembled as she reached for her brother. He was so scared. I couldn't. I didn't know what to do. Hawk placed a steady hand on her shoulder. You did everything right. Courage isn't just walking miles or asking for help. It's feeling fear and moving forward anyway. You taught him strength by staying with him. The bikers moved seamlessly, their presence both commanding and comforting. They organized a temporary space for Jamie to rest, offering blankets and pillows, while ensuring the little girl remained close. Each biker, from the quietest shadow to the loudest voice, embodied protection, not just physical, but emotional. Ryder glanced at the girl, a rare softness in his eyes. You see, Micah, courage and loyalty often come together. You had the courage to walk, to ask for help. And we showed loyalty by answering. Micah's voice was barely a whisper. I never thought anyone would care, not like this. Hawk smiled gently. Care is action, kid. That's what we do. And now you know, you're not alone. No matter how heavy the burden feels, there are people who will carry it with you if you trust them. Jamie stirred, weak but alert, glancing up at the bikers surrounding him. For the first time in days, a faint smile touched his lips. The weight of fear that had hung over the house seemed lighter, replaced by an unfamiliar warmth. The bikers' presence was no longer intimidating, it was comforting. Their leather jackets, engines, and rough exteriors now symbolized protection, loyalty, and unwavering moral strength. Micah watched them, all mingling with relief. She realized bravery wasn't just in walking miles, it was in standing up for others, trusting others, and witnessing moral courage in action. Hawk knelt again, eyes level with hers. Today, you and your brother survived fear. But more than that, you learned what real courage looks like. It's speaking up, asking for help, and trusting those who will answer. That's a bond stronger than any obstacle. Micah's small hands clenched the edge of her backpack. I want to be brave like you one day. Ryder smiled, voice soft. You already are. Bravery isn't just facing danger. It's protecting the people you love, even when you're scared. Today, you taught 70 bikers about courage and loyalty. That's no small feat. The afternoon sun filtered through the cracked windows, casting warm beams over the scene. The house, once heavy with hopelessness, now breathed with possibility. Micah held her brother close, feeling the protective circle around them. 70 bikers standing as living proof that courage, loyalty, and moral strength could change lives. And for the first time, the little girl felt truly safe, understood, and empowered, knowing that her bravery had inspired action far larger than herself. She had sparked a bond between the vulnerable and the strong, a bond built on trust, protection, and unwavering moral courage. By late afternoon, the sun cast long shadows across the neighborhood, painting the worn streets in gold. The bikers had transformed the small, neglected house into a temporary sanctuary. Blankets, food, and water were arranged with care, and every movement by the chapter radiated protection and purpose. Micah sat beside Jamie, his small fingers clutching hers, eyes wide but beginning to relax. Hawk stood at the doorway, scanning the neighborhood. The quiet had shifted into a low murmur of curiosity from neighbors peeking through cracked blinds. It was clear that the family had been isolated for far too long. He turned to the chapter. This isn't just about these two kids. There's more out here. People who need hope, someone to remind them they're not alone. Ryder nodded. Exactly. Protection isn't a single act. It's ongoing. If we can reach more, even a little, the ripple will grow. Micah's eyes widened. You're going to help more people. Hawk smiled gently. We're going to do what we can. And today, you helped show us why it matters. Your courage led us here. Now we turn it into something bigger. The bikers fanned out, knocking on doors, leaving supplies, and quietly assessing other families in need. The sight of 70 leather-clad men, once intimidating to outsiders, now moved with care and respect, offering aid and reassurance. Mothers whispered thanks, fathers nodded in disbelief, and children peered from windows, their eyes reflecting hope for the first time in months. Micah stayed with Jamie, watching it unfold. I never knew help could feel like this, like people actually care. Ryder crouched beside her, voice low. That's the lesson, kid. Loyalty and courage don't end with one action. When bravery meets compassion, it spreads. You sparked that today. Never forget it. Hawk approached, lifting a small box of supplies for Jamie's bedside. See, Micah? Courage isn't just surviving. It's about helping others survive too. And when you do it, others follow. That's how we change things, one action at a time. As the bikers moved through the neighborhood, a sense of healing began to ripple outward. Walls that had once symbolized neglect now seemed permeable to kindness. Children laughed tentatively as food and blankets were offered, mothers whispered prayers of gratitude, and the adults began to regain a sliver of dignity long denied. Micah hugged Jamie, a newfound sense of pride swelling in her chest. I walked all this way, but I didn't think it would make all this happen. Hawk knelt, resting a heavy hand on her shoulder. You walked for him. That small act sparked change far beyond this house. Courage isn't measured in miles, it's measured in hearts changed, trust earned, and hope restored. Today, you've done that. The sun dipped lower, casting a warm glow across the city streets. The bikers regrouped at the house, engines rumbling softly, not with aggression but with a quiet authority that symbolized protection and moral strength. Every member of the chapter understood what Micah had taught them. Bravery, trust, and loyalty could ripple outward, changing the lives of countless people in ways impossible to measure. Micah's small voice broke the quiet. Will you stay? For a little while. Hawk smiled. We stay as long as it takes, kid. Protection isn't a moment, it's a promise. And that promise never ends. The little girl hugged her brother close, feeling the weight of fear lift from her shoulders. The city around them remained unaware of the ripple created by courage and moral strength that day, but inside that small, restored home, hope had taken root. And Micah had learned firsthand the extraordinary power of speaking up, trusting others, and inspiring action. The evening sunlight filtered through the cracked windows, casting golden streaks across the small living room where Micah and Jamie sat side by side. Hawk, Ryder, and a handful of the chapter's most trusted members had stayed behind, quietly organizing the house, reinforcing the little girl's sense of safety, and ensuring the boy was fed and hydrated. Hawk crouched beside Micah, voice low and steady. Today you did more than walk miles or ask for help. You showed courage. But courage isn't enough if it's not paired with understanding. That's what I want you to remember. Micah glanced up, her voice soft. Understanding? Ryder nodded. Yes. Courage is action, but understanding is knowing why you act, who you protect, and the difference it makes. You walked 3 miles because you loved your brother. That's understanding and bravery together. The little girl's eyes welled with tears as she hugged Jamie tightly. I just wanted him to be okay. I didn't know anyone would come. Hawk rested a firm hand on her shoulder. You gave him a chance. That's what matters. Bravery often starts small, just one step, one voice, one act of trust. And when you act, others respond. That's the chain of protection, the lesson of loyalty. The bikers moved seamlessly, checking windows, securing the doors, and quietly preparing for any lingering danger. Every step, every glance, was deliberate, a demonstration of moral strength in action. It wasn't just about keeping the children safe physically. It was about showing them that fear could be met with courage, and courage could inspire trust. Micah's voice trembled slightly. Will he be safe now? Hawk smiled, eyes softening. He is. And so are you. That's what trust and loyalty look like. You took the first step by asking for help. We made sure the rest followed. That's protection, moral courage made real. Ryder leaned against the wall, watching the 2 children. The world can be cruel. People leave. Trouble arrives. But what you've learned today is how to act, and who to trust. That knowledge is more valuable than anything else. Micah's small hand brushed over the boy's hair. I want to be brave like you one day. To help people. Hawk's lips curved into a gentle smile. You already are, kid. Bravery isn't measured by size, age, or strength. It's measured by action, love, and moral courage. Today, you inspired 70 men to tears, and you reminded us why we protect, why we fight, and why loyalty matters. That's power. The city outside hummed with indifference, unaware of the quiet heroism within this tiny home. But inside, a lesson had been cemented. Courage paired with trust, action paired with loyalty, could transform fear into hope. Micah leaned against Hawk's arm, exhausted but empowered. She had walked miles carrying fear and responsibility, but now she understood that bravery wasn't a solitary burden, it was a shared force. She had witnessed it in action, and in doing so, had become part of it. As the bikers prepared to leave for the evening, Hawk knelt one final time. Remember this, Micah, courage is speaking up, loyalty is acting, and protection is never abandoning someone who needs you. Carry that forward. One day, you'll inspire others the way you inspired us. Jamie, resting against his sister, smiled weakly, and for the first time in days, the weight of worry lifted from both their shoulders. The little girl had learned a profound truth. Courage was contagious, and loyalty could change lives. As twilight settled over the city, Hawk and the chapter remained vigilant, aware that danger often lingered beyond sight. Even though the immediate crisis had been addressed, the streets were never truly predictable. The bikers moved like shadows, scouting the neighborhood, ensuring no lingering threats could harm the children or anyone else in the vicinity. Micah clung to Jamie's hand, her small fingers tightening as she watched the bikers work. Is it really over? She whispered. Hawk crouched beside her, eyes steady. Not always, kid. But knowing someone has your back, that's what makes danger manageable. We've neutralized the immediate risk, but vigilance never stops. Protection is continuous. Ryder returned from a perimeter check, shaking his head. Nothing suspicious. Looks like the neighborhood will be calm tonight. Still, we need to make sure this home is safe for the future. The bikers quickly set up measures to secure the house, a reinforced lock on the door, a signal system to alert them if trouble approached, and supplies strategically placed for the children's care. Every movement was precise, not reckless, a lesson in foresight and responsibility. Micah's voice trembled with a mix of awe and gratitude. You really care about us. Hawk rested a steady hand on her shoulder. Care isn't just words. It's showing up when it matters, acting with loyalty, and protecting those who can't protect themselves. That's what we do. That's moral courage. Ryder added, and now you know what it feels like to be truly supported. That feeling doesn't fade, it teaches you strength, trust, and how to act when someone else needs help. The boy, Jamie, looked up at the bikers, a faint but genuine smile appearing on his pale face. Thank you, he whispered, his voice barely audible but filled with relief. Hawk knelt to his level. You're safe now. And you're learning what it means to trust, to act, and to survive with courage. Remember that, it will carry you far. Outside, the chapter mounted their Harleys, engines rumbling like a heartbeat of protection over the city. Their presence, once intimidating, now symbolized moral strength, vigilance, and unwavering loyalty. Micah watched from the doorway, a sense of empowerment blossoming within her. She realized that courage and action weren't limited by age, they were defined by moral conviction and the willingness to stand up for those who couldn't stand alone. Hawk approached her one final time, voice calm and resolute. Remember today, Micah. You inspired action with bravery. You learned loyalty and protection firsthand. And you discovered that courage isn't just for adults, it's for anyone willing to do what's right. The engines roared in unison, and the bikers rode off into the city streets, leaving behind a safe home, 2 children strengthened by trust and courage, and a neighborhood that, for the first time in a long while, felt hope. Micah clutched Jamie's hand, feeling a warmth that went beyond protection. She had learned that bravery, loyalty, and moral strength were powerful enough to transform lives. The night had settled into a calm hush, but inside the little home, warmth and hope radiated from every corner. Micah and Jamie sat together, blankets wrapped around them, eyes wide with the understanding that the world could be dangerous, but also that courage, loyalty, and moral strength could create protection stronger than fear itself. Hawk knelt before them, voice steady yet gentle. "Micah, Jamie, today wasn't just about surviving. It was about showing you what courage and loyalty look like. Bravery is more than walking miles or standing tall. It's speaking up, asking for help, and trusting those who are willing to act for what's right." Ryder joined, placing a reassuring hand on Hawk's shoulder. Protection is not only about strength, it's about vigilance, foresight, and moral action. You've seen it today in action. And it's now a lesson you carry with you. Micah whispered, voice filled with awe, I didn't think anyone would care so much." Hawk smiled softly. "That's what bravery does. It inspires care, loyalty, and action. And you, kid, inspired 70 bikers to move with purpose. Never underestimate what courage and honesty can create." The chapter stood nearby, engines rumbling softly as if echoing the heartbeat of protection they had become. The children's faces reflected relief, awe, and a newfound sense of trust. They had learned that strength was not measured by size, but by moral conviction, loyalty, and the courage to act when it mattered most. As the bikers mounted their Harleys and rode off, leaving a quiet neighborhood in their wake, the siblings hugged tightly, understanding that the world, though unpredictable, could also be a place of hope and guardianship. Bravery is not measured by age or size. It is measured by action, compassion, and moral courage. True protection goes beyond strength. It is vigilance, loyalty, and standing up for those who cannot stand alone. Courage is amplified when shared, inspiring action and hope in others. Asking for help is itself an act of bravery, opening doors to trust and support. One small act of courage can ripple outward, transforming lives, restoring hope, and building unbreakable bonds. Loyalty, trust, and moral strength are the foundations of a world where even the most vulnerable can feel safe, valued, and empowered.